Stop it! Cut it out! I have a glandular problem.
Good day everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks video. And in today's video I want to give you my personal experience and a conclusion on the Turtle Mark 1. First things first, I played 16 games in the tank yesterday on livestream, 2332 average damage in it and a win rate of 63% solo. I have to point out however that I had a decent chunk of tier 8 games. I didn't had the luxury to play against tier 10 tanks, luckily, but definitely I was playing a lot of tier 8 tanks, and this was definitely helpful for me to also evaluate if this tank is usable for things like frontline. Little info, no it is not, because in frontline you genuinely want to be faster than what the Turtle Mark 1 can do. Nevertheless, I was playing with my 4th skill crew from the Badger. Most important skills are Brothers in Arms, Sixth Sense and one view range skill, as well as repairs. That was very important to point out as well. Then we have Vents, Optics and Tank Gun Rammer. And lastly I'm playing with Rations. So now, let's jump into the firepower. This is one major point which sells this tank. I heard a lot of people talking about the gun having bad penetration for a sniping vehicle. And that is totally legit. 224mm of standard penetration is not going to win any prizes. 253mm of premium round penetration is again not going to win any prizes. Especially as most tier 8 tank destroyers, which are premium, have roughly the amount of penetration the Turtle Mark 1 has on premium rounds, on their standard rounds. So this is not going to win prizes, definitely not. But what is going to win a prize is the best tier 8 DPM in the game, except for the ISU 130 if it shoots its premium round. But as the ISU 130 was never sold yet on the EU server, I'm going to say that so far the Turtle Mark 1 is the tank with the best DPM in the tier 8 tank destroyer lineup. And that is ridiculous. 3680 DPM. If you want to go full on out and bump into your bonds reserves and want to just take something out of it, you can bump up that DPM to almost 3950, which is ridiculous for a tier 8 vehicle. You can basically push down your DPM or your reload time from 5.4 seconds to around 4.8. This is stupidly strong in my opinion. Even right now with 5.4 seconds, 5.3 roughly, you have an amazing time, because if the enemy is playing poorly, you can retract them, you can detract them with the first shot, you can retract them with the second shot, boom, you're finished. He's permatracked, you have no issues to gun him down. Because in the end you will most likely not even need 30 seconds to finish off an enemy in with that kind of DPM, which again is straight up ridiculous for a tier 8 TD. The issues, however, is, once already mentioned, the low-ish penetration rate. It's a little bit a pity, but to be honest, for my purposes, and this is a breakthrough vehicle, I never really encountered too big of an issue with the standard penetration. The only tank which could pose a threat are obviously higher tiered vehicles and the VK101P with its 220 or 240mm, 220mm cupola. There, well, you're just going to shoot premium rounds. I also had an encounter against the Carnarvon Action X several times. And I have to say, even though we both have weak spots, his one was much easier for me to hit than he had it for me. Even if he loaded premium rounds, he had basically no real chance to penetrate me, except if I was not angling properly or was showing my lower plate. One thing I heard people asking me a lot during the live stream was TS5 versus Turtle, what is better? And I have to say, for me personally, I enjoy the Turtle much more. Just because it has 10 degrees of gun depression, this is a really big plus in my books for the Turtle Mark 1. To that we got a snappy aim time, a decent accuracy while stationary, and 20 degrees of gun traverse limits. That is great. Like 20 degrees left, 20 degrees right. You can peek around corner and it feels convenient. So for me, the firepower of the gun, even though it lacks penetration, is a huge plus. Plus 330 alpha, something rather new. One last thing about the firepower, the penetration of the HE. 54mm, it's underwhelming. But for the tanks you're going to face off, like Scorpion Cheese, SU-130 PM, Stage 2, Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger, some light tanks, it's enough. Totally enough, you don't have to worry about it at all. About the armor, I already talked about it more extensively in my armor guide to the Turtle Mark 1. Points is, I have to say that overall, the armor against tier 6 is great. Like, they will most likely not have a chance penetrating you. Against tier 7s, the lower plate starts to get a weak spot. The cupola will be a weak spot, and against tier 8s, lower plates shouldn't be an issue, and the cupola won't be an issue either. Premium rounds will have a decent chance of penetrating this red stripe over here. And on tier 9 and tier 10 vehicles, you have to be very, very, very careful. Because other than that, they will most likely just punch straight through you. One thing I have to point out is that if you are aiming at a lower plate and the turtle is standing above of you, you have to be certain to hit this spot, because this one right here is too thick for most guns to overmatch, and hitting back there is very unlikely. So you only have this small stripe to hit, because here you will auto bounce and here you will also auto bounce. Lastly, below the tracks, there is a 38mm spot. If we remove the suspension, you can see it right there. It is a very, very potent spot to shoot at if you have a 120mm or bigger gun, while detracking the turtle and doing damage if the turtle is, for example, staying hull down. It's a very potent spot. It's really frustrating when you are a turtle. Also, if you have not very good penetration and the turtle is like trying to side scrape, you can try to go for those ears right there. They're only 50mm thick, and if you're able to hit this circle behind, you have 0mm of armor to penetrate. Keep away from the gun mantlet. The gun mantlet is ridiculous strong. Cupola, rather easy to penetrate, 152mm. Roof here, penetrable by 150mm guns, so KV2 in theory has overmatch on it. This part over here, 38mm, so easy peasy. Sideways, go for the engine block. Not only are you going to do critical damage to the engine, it's also the easiest part to penetrate, 101mm. Side armor 152 is a little bit stronger, and the lower side armor is also 101mm thick, plus 6mm of additional armor by the plates, plus 30mm armor of the tracks. And lastly, le pat, once again, there's nothing really to change. 76mm for both parts, and down here 57. Wheelies will have it a little bit harder to penetrate this butt, but just go for the butt if you are able to. As the name suggests, it's a turtle. The mobility is garbage. There is no sugarcoating it. The only real thing I have to say about the mobility, which kind of was decent, is the acceleration to its 20 kph and the acceleration to the 10 kph backward speed. But if the turtle is the turtle and an EBR is a hare, and we do the little experiment, the little novelty thingy, yeah, the turtle is not going to win, except if the EBR is going to flip himself. Plain simple, it's very, very slow. And once again, if you enjoy a tortoise, the turtle is for you, period. It just works well. The speed is exactly the same. The gun feels very much like one on the tortoise, so the turtle is your go-to tank for that. Mobility-wise, again, not going to win whatsoever any prize. Please keep that in mind. The only redeeming feature is its decent specific power to weight ratio of 13.2. But it's like the old FV4202. It accelerates amazing, but it's stuck at 20 kph. For the old FV4202, it was 40 kph, as you might remember. So yeah, mobility-wise, not going to win any prizes. To the concealment, I don't really have much to say. On the website, it was a little mistake there. I personally have 3 crew members with a little bit of camouflage, but that's about it. So we have a little bit camouflage, 22% while stationary and 15% while moving. Those are pretty decent values, but again, you are not going to win any prizes for being a stealthy boy. In my opinion, even the TS5 has better concealment while stock configuration. Like it has 19.28% with no crew whatsoever, and we have 22.7% with already 3 crew members having a decent chunk in concealment expert in it. But yeah, concealment wise, please do not count on you being a sneaky boy. It's not as bad as the T103, but it's not good. Towards the spotting, I have to say something I'm not happy with it. 370 meters base view range is laughable on tier 8. But I have to point out that it would be unfair towards the AT-15 to give the Turtle 1 more view range. It simply wouldn't be fair, as the Turtle 1, in my opinion, is better than the AT-15. So with 370 meters, you can work. You can totally work with it. It's workable and it's okay, but I could even imagine that some people would prefer using binoculars rather than optics, and that is totally legit, and this is totally understandable. For me personally, for example, on the AT-15A version of the Tier 7 one, I am playing the AT-15A with binoculars because it's better, like period. You have much better view range and it works out much better for you if you're playing with binos. Especially in lower tiers, you can scamp a little bit more. Conclusion. If you enjoy the Tortoise, if you enjoy the AT-15, if you in general enjoy the Badger line, you will have no issues getting happy with the Turtle 1. If I have to compare it to the TS5, once again, I have to say the Turtle 1 is my favorite. Just simply, it needs a little bit more skill to use, and it is more potent than the TS5. The TS5's gun is a little bit wonky at times. However, the TS5's penetration is a lot better, so keep that in mind as well. As a crew trainer, it's perfectly suited for the whole British tank destroyer line. There is no saying that it isn't like that. The real question is, if you already have the 183, should you buy the Tortoise? If you need a crew trainer, well, you already have the 183. The only thing you're missing is the radio operator, and on the radio operator, the only thing you won't be able to train is the view range skill, boo-hoo, and brothers in arms. So, no. If you already have the AT-15A, I have to say, well, if you like the AT-15A, you don't really need a Turtle Mark 1. The AT-15A has premium matchmaking, so he doesn't see tier 9 vehicles, while the Turtle Mark 1 will see tier 10 vehicles, which have no issue, by the way, to penetrate you. Oh no. So yeah, the AT-15 is a decent premium as well, but it's weaker than... Tier for tier, I think it's weaker than the Turtle Mark 1. A Turtle Mark 1 on tier 8 can do much more in a tier 8 game than an AT-15A in a tier 7 game. So yeah, once again, if you enjoy the Tortoise, I'd say go for it. If you don't enjoy it, then please keep your fingers away. It's a tank, we don't really need it. Definitely we didn't need it. We have 2 crew trainers, actually 3 if you're able to finish the Excalibur mission. Just the Excalibur is not a really good crew trainer. So yeah, this is my personal experience and personal feedback, or rather conclusion, on the Turtle Mark 1. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, let me know in the comment section below. Once again, I try to do it a little bit more different than usually. And thank you so much for your attention. Cheers, guys.